Hello, my name is Bob Bauman, Big Bobby's Q, and I'm here with
Tommy the Butcher. We are Wise Guys Barbecue. We've been challenged, and we're here to step up to that challenge. We received a challenge from Rico, and he was looking for an Italian smoked chicken noodle soup made with our own fresh-made noodles. So that's what we're gonna do for you today. Bobby is gonna do a smoked tomato and as well as smoked chicken thighs for us. Those two ingredients are gonna go into the final product towards the end.
we have some nice vine-ripe tomatoes, some good size, and look at that, beautiful looking. We're just going to lop off the top, lop off the bottom, and we're gonna slice these just like this. What we're gonna do is it's gonna go on the grill just like that, and then once like an hour or so, I would say, on the smoker, we're gonna take them off and we'll dice them up. So here we have boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Of course, Springer Mountain, can't go wrong. So I'm just gonna, I just wanna go through and clean up all this scraggly, like all this excess fat we don't need in there, because it's going in a soup. All right, so here's our chicken thighs. Now for chicken, cooking at home, what I like is I like to find a rub, because chicken cooks so quickly on a smoker that sometimes you just don't get that smokiness, that grill flavor on chicken. Is I like to pick a rub. Here we got Loot and Booty's Gold Star Chicken Rub. We got natural hickory smoke flavor. So I think that picking a rub with that for chicken is ideal. So we're gonna do a little on this side. Remember, chicken is a very light protein, so you don't want to over season it, because all you taste is seasoning, but it's also needs some help in that department. What we thought we'd do is with the tomatoes is we want the smoky flavor. We're going to add some of this to our tomatoes. I'm going to bring it over here. And I'm just going to leave it like that. All right, here we are with the Wise Guys Yoder smoker. We're running at we're going to be running at 275. We got a hot spot on the grill. It's over near the exhaust. I think we're going to put the chicken on that side. And these are just going to be over here, just getting some nice flavor. We'll let it ride for about, I don't know, I'll say 45 minutes, and we'll come out and check on it.
All right, folks, we're gonna make our fresh homemade egg noodles. What I have here on the counter, we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 3 whole eggs. We're gonna break the yolks, and little by little, very carefully, we're gonna start incorporating the flour into the egg mixture. Just keep dragging the flour into the egg, and eventually we're gonna get like a thick, creamy paste mixture, and at which time we're gonna be able to go in with our hands and start kneading the flour and the eggs all together to form our dough. All right, our mixture's coming together nice. It's starting to get a little thick, a little creamy. Now we're gonna begin to incorporate all the flour into the eggs. We're gonna get rid of that fork, and we're gonna get in there with our hands and get dirty. All right, so we've kneaded our dough for about 10 minutes. We've got to the finished stage. It's a nice round ball. We want to wrap it up in plastic so it is not exposed to the air. And we want to let it rest for about a half an hour before we're ready to roll it out and make our noodles. All right, folks, we've made our pasta dough. It's rested for about a half an hour. We want to remove it from the plastic. And we're going to be rolling this out very thinly. First, what we want to do, we want to cut this in half. We're gonna do 1/2 at a time. And as we cut it in half, we wanna return this other half to the plastic. It's very important to keep it in the plastic so the air doesn't dry it out. We're gonna flour our work surface very lightly. And flour the top of the dough a little bit. And then we want to roll this out till we get to we want to go about maybe 1/8 of an inch. You want to be able to actually pick it up and kind of see through it. Folks, we have our noodle dough all rolled out. We want to go very, very thin. It's probably just less than 1/8 of an inch thin. And we're going to flour our work surface. Now at this point, flour the top. We're going to fold it over into about 2-inch folds. And just keep going right across. Dusting with flour as you go. All right, and what we're gonna do is cut with a knife. Now we can determine the own thickness we want. We're doing a noodle, a chicken noodle soup. So we wanna go something relatively thin. The thicker you go, you can get into different types of pastas like fettuccine, pappardelle, tagliatelle, but we wanna go pretty thin. So we're basically gonna, I'd say cut maybe 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. All right, so we have all our noodles cut. Now these are going to be, I would say this is looking like maybe like a thin linguine, but as we roll it out, you can see it's going to be quite long. So, I mean, if this is okay with you for your soup, that's fine, but what we want to do, I want to cut them down a little smaller so they're not as long as in length. So I'm going to go right across the entire length of them and cut these down. And there we go, there's our noodles. We want to flour it a little bit just to kind of get them so they're all nice and loose. All right, folks, there's our noodles for our Italian smoked chicken noodle soup. We're going to continue on. We're going to do the other. We have another piece of dough we're going to roll out, finish rolling out, add that to this, and then we're going to build it all. Stay tuned. We're going to put it all together in 1 minute. All right, folks, we're ready to start building our soup. We smoked some chicken. We smoked some tomatoes. 1 hour on Olivia, and we made our own homemade noodles. And what I have here, we have chicken stock we made last week. And what we're gonna add to that, we're gonna add about 1 cup of chopped onion, about 1 cup of chopped carrot, and a special ingredient, seeing as we're making an Italian style smoked chicken noodle soup. Instead of celery, I'm gonna put chopped fennel. Fennel is a very quintessential Italian ingredient in Italian cuisine. And what I wanna do now is I wanna add the carrot and the onion and the fennel initially. I'm gonna let that simmer in the chicken stock for about 15 minutes to soften up. So in go the carrots. 1 cup of carrots, in goes the onion, 1 cup of onion. And the fennel, I have about 1 whole bulb of fennel, 1 1/2. So probably got a cup and a half in here. We're gonna add that. We're gonna raise the heat a little bit just to bring it back to a simmer. And we're gonna let this go for a while just to soften those vegetables up. And we'll be back in a minute and we're gonna add our noodles. At that point, it's only gonna take about a minute. Oh, I forgot one item. We're adding a chopped escarole, which is also Italian. We're in the final stages of putting our smoked Italian style chicken noodle soup. Now the chicken we smoked for about 1.5 hours. It's slightly undercooked, but it's gonna continue to cook in the broth. So we're gonna add that next because it still has a little bit more cooking to do. So in goes our smoked chicken thighs. Give that a stir and let it go for about a minute. Next, we're gonna add our escarole. I have 1 head of escarole chopped up. I'm gonna add that in there. It looks like a lot, but that's all gonna cook down. And that'll be 1 green component going in there. Our smoked tomatoes are ready. That's gonna go in at the end. Our fresh homemade noodles will be going in next. They're gonna take about 2 minutes to cook. So at this point, everything's gonna go pretty fast. But before I go any further, I wanna check for seasoning. Now, you remember the last video when we made our stock, I told you that we never add salt, any seasoning to the stock. All our seasoning is done at the end. So it's definitely gonna need some salt, a decent amount of kosher salt. maybe about a couple of tablespoons, and some fresh cracked black pepper, maybe about 1 teaspoon. All right, we're ready for the fresh noodles. So in goes our noodles. You're only gonna take a couple of minutes. Our soup is thickening up. In go the noodles. We're gonna let that go for about a minute till they're done. And these final ingredients really don't have to be cooked. They're just gonna go in for color. Our tomatoes at the last second, our parsley, and our fresh basil. I'm just gonna tear them up. I'm not gonna chop them. And our noodles have been cooking for about 2 minutes. It's all coming together. I checked for seasoning. We're doing well. All we have left are the tomatoes, which we're gonna add now. We smoked these for about an hour and a half. In go the chopped tomatoes. In go about a cup of chopped parsley. And I got maybe a couple tablespoons of fresh basil. I'm just gonna tear them up, toss them in. I'm not gonna chop them. It's all together. Give it a stir. Got a lot of color going on here. We have the green from the escarole, the fresh basil, the fresh parsley, got the red tomatoes, carrot, our fresh noodles, and our smoked chicken. Can't wait to dive into this. That's the finished product. One thing left to do now. I'm gonna turn the heat off. All right, folks, and especially Rico, this one's for you. Our smoked Italian style chicken noodle soup with homemade noodles. We stood up to the challenge and I think we did fine. The only thing left is give it a taste, but before we do so, I gotta throw some pecorino romano on there. Whether you like pecorino or Parmesan, you gotta put the cheese on there. There's no doubt about it. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's dive in. All right, let me unpack this. This is gonna take a while. So there's some smokiness in the background, and that we got from our smoked chicken thighs and our smoked tomatoes. Our fresh chicken stock is very light, very fresh, a lot of chicken flavor. An interesting ingredient we added was the fennel. Instead of adding celery, because we were doing an Italian style chicken soup, we added the fennel. We made our own fresh homemade noodles, cooked them to perfection, and the escarole, the basil, and the fresh parsley add a nice color, green color, and as tomatoes, nice, there's a lot going on in here. There's too much to be said. So absolutely delicious. I hope you liked the video. Hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell for notifications so you'll never miss an episode. This is Tommy the Butcher for Wise Guys Barbecue and Bobby Bowman from Bobby's Q, who did our smoked chicken and our smoked thighs. We pulled it together. I hope you're gonna like it, Rico. See you next time.